Good evening, everybody. It's Tuesday evening. Not much going on here. Just had gotten off work about 2.5 hours ago. And I watched a documentary on YouTube just now. It was actually a CBS 48 Hours documentary. It was done in February of 92 about the Kennedy assassination. It was done around the time the movie JFK was coming out. And I wanted to discuss some things about the Kennedy assassination and my personal thoughts on it. Benjamin Franklin once said that something along the lines of, no more than two people can have a conspiracy. Any more than that, if it's more than two people, that means the other two people are dead and one's got the conspiracy. I've always thought that there was some kind of conspiracy, but it was very small. It was probably involving the mafia. I do think there is a realistic chance there's probably two assassins. I don't know that 100%, but I think that there is a reasonable case to believe that the second one got away and that pretty soon afterward that second assassin met their own fate. I think the reason that this conspiracy thing is just the fact it's so baffling what would have happened. It's interesting that we're coming up on the 40th anniversary of the Reagan assassination attempt on March 30th, I think it was. And I remember that very well because I literally came home expecting to watch a favorite cartoon of mine, and it wasn't on. And the station that it was supposed to be on was showing breaking news coverage from another station. And I was only 10 I wasn't even 10 at the time. I was only 9 at the time. I really was like, well, this is all well and good, but I want to see my cartoon, I got better as time going on, but it was a very interesting situation, to say the least. But the Kennedy assassination has always fascinated people. There's all sorts of conspiracies and all that, and it takes me to a time right after 9/11. When I said, literally, I think it was the day after 9/11, I said there's going to be a bunch of people thinking conspiracy theories about this event. And I turned out to be pretty much very right about it. Now, the thing about conspiracy theories, if you take an objective look at them, they pretty much go away. And when I look at it, I don't doubt the fact Lee Harvey Oswald was one of the assassins and may very well be the only assassin. I think Jack Ruby had something to do with it. I don't think he was just some concerned citizen who marched in there with a gun that wanted to spare the nation the horrors of a trial, because I think that would have been really stupid. I think that there was a reason why he was in there that day, and I think that he knew exactly what he was doing, and I think he was paid off to do it by someone. Now, who that was, I don't really know. I don't think it had anybody to do with the government, anything like. I don't think it had anything to do with the CIA or FBI or anybody else like that. I don't think Castro was behind it, because if Castro had done it and they'd proven it, yeah, that would not have been good for Cuba. Certainly would not have been good for Castro. I've always felt like it was a mafia hit. It was just one of those things that really, 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 really made a lot of sense to make it a mafia hit, And I think some of the conspiracies that had been thrown out there was to deflect from potentially the real truth of it. Now, what evidence I have of it? None. It very well be could very well be that Oswald was just a nut that did it, but I don't think he was a nut. I think that there's enough evidence to go that, hey, he knew exactly what he was doing. And he knew exactly, he was a sane person. He wasn't insane. He was sane. And I think that he was paid off by somebody to actually do it or be part of this. So we'll never know who that is because it's getting close to 60 years now since the assassination. And pretty much everyone in that scene is either dead or very old. I'm not much for conspiracy theories. This is the only one I've ever really considered to where I give the possibility that there might have been a conspiracy theory. Now, 9/11 I think is pretty much straight up. We were attacked by terrorists. And the only thing was that a lot of our intelligence agencies were not working together and they dropped the ball on this. They knew something was coming, and I think some of them had pieces of what was happening. If they had come together and worked together, they would have figured it out, but they didn't. And this is what happened. I think Reagan's assassin was just nuts. I don't think there's any conspiracy there. I do think that conspiracies are very hard to prove because it just doesn't. The logic of it doesn't make sense, and the motives of it. It's like this whole. Well, there was fraud in the election. Well, there's no evidence of it because the courts were not approving it. Now you're saying the court system is against you. Most of the people that were approved there were by the very person you're saying that there's fraud. I don't generally believe in conspiracy theories. It has to take a lot of evidence, and the one thing that makes me think that there's a reason for this is it is a known fact Kennedy had an affair with one of the girlfriends of a mobster. Secondly, the Zapruder film showed Kennedy's head when he was shot in the head, going back and to the left, as if he were being shot from the front. Whereas if you're shot from the back, you're generally going to be pushed forward. So that's really the only reason I give this any credence, is because of the fact that Kennedy, when he was shot in the head, his body went back into the left. Now, conspiracies are one of those things they're fun. They're kind of like, you get to know stuff that you're quote unquote not supposed to know. Well, the thing is that sometimes that stuff's put out there to deflect from the fact there's stuff that you really shouldn't know because it is national security secrets. It's like Area 51. I've always felt like Area 51 is a red herring, and the really top flight secret stuff is done somewhere else. This is just to throw the scent off the Russians back in the day. And and they still do stuff there, but it's not. It's stuff that we know that they're watching, and we know they know they're watching. So it's one of those, and it wouldn't surprise me if Russia's got their own version of it. So this is a situation where they're testing out top secret stuff, but our enemies know about Area 51. They just don't know about the places that we really do the really black project stuff at. Whereas Area 51, the only reason it's so top secret is to keep civilians out. I think it's a lot of thunder but very little lightning. I think there's stuff there that they do, but there's no aliens there or anything like that, because if there were, there would definitely have been solid proof by now. You know, that would have been there's a lot. There would have been a lot of. We would have had, talking major advances in technology, not the kind that we've had, because the kinds that we've had have been basically, you can trace them back specifically to particular events that have happened. War, of course, and the space race have been two major advances in technology. So that's and the thing is, the military-industrial complex in many ways is the reason we have such advances in technology. That's throughout history. War advances technology. That's a sad statement of fact. But anyhow, I wanted to talk about that and just kind of give you my brief overview of it. I'm not going to any deep details or anything like that about the Kennedy assassination tonight, because there's plenty of stuff out there, and probably there are plenty of you going, oh, the CIA was involved, the FBI was involved, Castro was involved, Johnson was involved, blah, blah, blah. No, it's nothing like that. I think if there was, it was very small. It had to do with the mafia. It had to do with somebody was miffed at Kennedy, either Kennedy's brother messing up in their business, or more than likely, in my opinion, I think it was something to do with the fact that Kennedy had sex with a girlfriend of a mobster, and the mobster was miffed about it and didn't want to kill the girl, so he got the president to send the message. You know, and that's way out on a limb. You know, that may very well not have happened, but it's almost a moot point now. You know, it's impossible to improve. It's nearly 60 years since the event took place. Pretty much all the major characters, the people that could have solved this, are dead or very, very old indeed. So it's almost a moot point. Tomorrow I'm going to do some Babylon 5 watch-alongs. I'm going to do it off of the remastered Babylon 5 episodes on HBO Max. I'm going to redo the pilot episode, which I did a test run of the other day. That was based upon the series I'd actually bought on Apple TV. Or was it? No, on Apple TV. I think it was Vudu. No, it was Vudu I bought it on. Okay. And HBO Max has the remastered version of it, and I'm going to do it off of that. Now, it only has the 5 seasons. It doesn't have the movies. It doesn't have Crusade, but it does have the pilot. That's the Turner pilot. Now, I don't think I've got the original pilot. I'd have to look. I don't think I've got that. I'd have to look and see. I remember years ago on VHS I had the pilot, but then those tapes just got old and such. Basically what happened was I had a leak in the house, in the bedroom, and the tapes were on the bottom shelf, and yeah, they got water damage, unfortunately, so I'd watched them to death anyway, so... and plus I got DVDs, and DVDs are always better. And it's surprisingly it's still in very good shape, because even though I didn't watch them to death like I did the VHS tapes. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do probably a third of the season, a quarter to a third of this first season on Wednesday and Thursday, and maybe I might be able to do an episode or 2 a day as the week progresses, and we'll see what happens then. And then I'm going to try and aim to do a full season every 2 weeks, and we'll see how it goes. How events are and such. I've got to get back into writing a little bit too. I've kind of slacked up on that, so I'm going to probably try and do some stuff there. But the podcast I'm going to definitely do tomorrow. At least the pilot and the first 2 or 3 episodes, including the ones I don't particularly like the Purple Files episode. I'm not too particularly fond of that because it just strikes me as a bit silly. The thing about the first season, it sets up a lot of things. There are very few bad episodes of Babylon 5. The bulk of them are in the first season. It's like, of the 22 episodes, there's like 3 or 4 that are not really that great. TKO is part of it. The boxing thing was, the boxing / MMA thing was rather silly. The Ivanova sitting Shiva for her father more than made up for that. There was the Grail episode, which, it just did not go well for me. There's some people that may have liked it. I mean, it had David Warner, and it was a phenomenal actor and such. The vast majority, I'd say 90 of the 110 episodes, the amount of bad ones are half a dozen. And of the movies, there's only one that's bad, and that was the one that involved Martin Sheen and Ian McShane. That one wasn't particularly good. It was in between Third Space and The Call to Arms. It was the one about the Soul Hunters. It just was not that good. I'm sorry, it wasn't. But yeah, and then the next one I'm probably going to do The Expanse. I really need to watch The Expanse. So we'll do that watch along and go from there. So, and that'll be on the Carolina Geek channel. I got to do something about the Super Bowl soon, about the Rutherford Sports Network podcast. And on this, I'll probably just, if you'll notice, because we now have a new president, I won't talk as much about politics because Biden's not going to bug me as much as Trump did. Even though I will say this, I think that what Biden said the other day about that the tracking, that we're not going to see any real improvement on the track until for several months. I think if we were more aggressive about pushing mask usage and social distancing and have the attitude of, if we really work together and just cut the nonsense and say we could beat this thing by Memorial Day, if not sooner. And with vaccines coming in and all that, we have that capability, Not make any promises, but say, hey, we have the possibility we could do this. That's just me, though. Anyhow, and yes, I said I was going to disagree with Biden on a few things, which I always do with every president. Some presidents, more than a few things, like the last one, Anyhow, okay, that's it for now. The watch-alongs will be tomorrow, and then we'll go from there. Anyway, good night, good luck, may the good news be yours and all that jazz.